Hi, Katie. Can you test your mic, please?
Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. You
Good
sound
morning. Anthony, is
wonderful.
someone there in your office? I have a new computer and I'm not confident of the camera. Can you make sure that you're looking at me?
Okay, let me go ask somebody to take a look because
Mahalo.
I
Thank you.
won't do
No,
you
I
justice.
got it.
Hold on. Hold on.
I understand. Thanks, Anthony.
You look fine.
I can adjust the camera if I need to.
No, you look fine.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Just to let you know, we'll be starting in a little bit. We're just waiting for Pat, and I think Cheryl will be logging in shortly, and Ramona won't be able to make it today. But hi, Pat. This is Anthony. If you can test your mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Good, 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 good.
Cheryl's running a few minutes late, but she'll be in shortly. Just to let you know, it's 10:02, but Cheryl will be joining us shortly. But if you want to start, you're free to.
Okay, well, we can give it a few more minutes. I mean,
Sounds.
if it's just you and me, I think, do we have any other participants?
Oh, well, everybody's here.
Oh yeah,
we have
Gashel here.
James is
Okay.
here.
Katie's
Okay.
here, Pat.
Yeah.
Good morning, Pat. Katie
Good morning.
Kern.
How is everybody? Okay, why don't we start? I wish there was some other way besides me reading all this text every time we could do it. You know, maybe put it on the screen, let people just scroll through it. I will do it today, but it's, you know, I think there's got to be a more efficient way of doing it. Okay. Good morning, everybody, and this meeting of the Voters with Special Needs Advisory Committee is now convened, and pursuant to Code 92-3.5, you're required to disclose if anyone is present with you in this for this meeting. Committee members, is anyone present with you for this meeting? So Katie, why don't we start with you?
Katie Kime, no one present but myself.
Okay, James?
Yeah, Gashel here. No one present with me. I'm occupying a space in the hallway of the state capitol, but no one is attending to this but myself.
Okay, and in my case, I'm the only one here, so I think that's taken care of. Additionally, pursuant to Hawaii Code 92-3.7, we're using interactive conference technology. As a reminder to the public, your microphone will be muted until you are called upon. With regard to public testimony, if you would like to testify, please click raise hand under reactions on Zoom. If you're joining us by phone, please press *9. When recognized, please unmute your microphone before speaking. For the record, state your first and last name and the items you will be testifying on. For testifiers joining us by phone, we will not have your name and will be identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. To ensure that we'll have sufficient time to hear all testimony, each testifier will have 3 minutes to testify. Once your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. As technical issues may arise, we'll give each testifier a few moments to try and resolve any connection issues. However, if the issues cannot be resolved, we will have to move on to the next testifier. We will now move to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the December 7th, 2022 meeting.
Hi, Chair.
Chair.
Sorry, this is Madeline. For the record, for the minutes, could you please just do roll call so we have that for the minutes? Thank you.
Okay. This is Pat Marcy. I'm chair. I'm here. James.
Jim Gashel, I'm here.
Okay. Katie.
Katie Kime, present.
Okay. Cheryl. And then I know Anando, I'm not sure I'm saying his name right, is not with us. So 3 of the
Ramona, yeah. Yeah,
committee.
he's not.
Okay. All right, so roll call is finished with. All right, let's move to the approval of the minutes for December 7th.
Gashel moved to approve the minutes of December 7th.
Okay, Pat.
Kime seconds.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like the minutes are approved. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the voter survey. It would be great.
Chair, I just wanted to let you know that Donald Sakamoto had his hand up. I'm not sure if he wanted to make a comment.
Okay. Usually, don't we have public testimony first anyway? It's not on the agenda.
But
It's
if he was raising his hand in regards to the minutes, I guess he could comment on that. But he lowered his hand, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
All right. Donald, do you have a comment that you'd like to make at this time regarding the minutes?
Chair, I just have a concern about the unmute for the people on phone. I think it's *6. You didn't mention that, so I just want to comment about that for people on the phone. If they want to
Okay.
unmute, then *6. Thank you.
*6.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Donald.
Okay, now, as I recall from past meetings, we need to have public comment at this point, even though it's not on the agenda at this point. So what do you want to do, Anthony?
So just to let you know, there's no written testimony at the present time. Nobody submitted testimony. However, on each agenda item, people are able to provide testimony.
Okay. Can you put up the PowerPoint on the voter survey at this point?
Okay, hold on.
Okay, this is sort of a good news, bad news story. The bad news is that I think that our approach to outreach to get people to respond to the voter survey was extremely modest, to be kind. We got 64 responses from November 4th till yesterday. And I know there are more people with disabilities in Hawaii than 64 that voted or would have liked to have voted. So I think if we pursue surveys in the future, we need to have a robust discussion about how to reach more people. The good news is, in spite of the modest number of responses we got, I think the answers we got were informative and told us things that we probably suspected, but needed to have confirmed. And so that's good. So I'd like to go through this relatively quickly, and then we can have a conversation about it. As you can see from this slide, we had 64 responses total, and 54 of the 64 participated in the last election. Next slide. There were many reasons why people didn't vote, but you can see from the answers that they varied. And we also got quite a few comments under other. When we move to that next slide. The text that you see here is exactly what people reported, so I didn't edit anything. I'm assuming that responder number 1 just didn't vote. He forgot to put not in. Another voter was out of state. The third one did not like candidates from other races. I don't know how we interpret that one. Did you know how to get more? They want more information on the candidates. Respondent number 5 said he didn't know who to vote for, and 6 was similar. So clearly, voters, for a variety of reasons, didn't vote. But keep in mind, again, we only had 10 respondents on that. On question number 3, choose the option listed below that best describes the method you will use to vote in the future elections. The good news is that 41 out of the 63 that responded said they intended to use the, mail-in ballot option. And then you had the next prominent one, they would want to go to a voting center. And then you had a few on the other options. So the opportunity to vote is pretty disability friendly. But there are things around the edges that we can do to make things better. And so we can get to those on the next slide. As you can see, transportation is a big problem for a lot of people. And then C, which I found very interesting, and I'd like to have some conversation about that, getting information about candidates. Obviously, that is an individual responsibility, but we certainly could play a role in helping people get information in a timely manner. Then if you look at H, uh, that is a big issue, probably has technical implications. People had challenges confirming that their ballot was processed and counted. That was 24 out of 60 something. Now, I suspect that those people were people that probably had visual impairments. And so I think we need to spend some time talking in detail about how to get connected to the vendor you're using at the Office of Elections for the processing of electronic ballots, and seeing if we can make that whole process easier to verify that somebody's vote was accepted and counted. Okay, the next slide. These were all the comments that people made with regard to question number 4. And the answer, I'm looking at this on my phone, that's why I'm having a hard time reading what's here. But one person said that time was an issue. I don't quite understand number 2, voting in person only. I would think it would be easier to vote by mail, but third, again, dealt with information from candidates. They really wanted more. Somebody asked for bigger, more readable font size. So maybe that's something that we have to consider making available. And 5 is interesting, but not really something we can do anything about, other than maybe doing some public service announcements to encourage people to vote, which I'm sure the Office of Election already does. 6 and 7 are tied. 6 is tied to the issue of having help and to go through the voting process. I'm assuming the person that made that comment may have an intellectual or developmental disability. And 7 dealt with somebody with a mobility impairment that had to stand in line for a long time. And 8 was somebody who wanted to be able to vote on their phone. Okay, next slide. I thought it would be interesting for us to have, a breakdown of where people were from. Obviously, most people were from the island of Oahu. And unfortunately, we didn't have anybody from Molokai or Lanai submit a response. Okay, next slide. Oh, there's that. I'm sorry, there isn't the next slide. The last slide dealt with the issue of anybody who wanted to give us their email address, they could. And I think out of 64 people, 20 people offered us their email. I was hoping that we'd get more people offering their email so we could connect with them and bring them up to date with things we're doing going forward. But again, I'm not disappointed in our decision to initiate this survey. I think we've learned a lot. But again, I think we have to be much more creative and much more aggressive in getting the word out about the survey if we do it again before the primaries in next year, so that people will maybe I think it takes 2 minutes to respond to the questions. So it doesn't take a lot of time. But anyway, let's open it up to conversation now.
Yeah, Gashel.
Hi there, Jim.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the survey is very useful. And I am concerned about the low numbers. I am concerned that many people with disabilities may not vote. And of course, you got some, of course, who just don't like to do surveys. so you always have that as a factor. But anyway, I think so. I think we need to put some effort in the future into more outreach to, in a longer period of time. We started this, of course, on the survey after the election, but I'm talking about before the 2024 election, spending more time marketing to people with disabilities on their voting options. And I think we have some electronic documents developed along that line. I think we have maybe Office of Elections had a YouTube, one or more YouTube presentations, but maybe we need various media to reach this audience and spend some concentrated time on this during, in the year prior to the 2024 election. So, we should develop content that is designed to reach voters with disabilities and really try to reach this population. That's one thing. Now, I don't know if the Office of Elections can tell us, but voters have the option when registering to vote. They have the option of registering as a person needing an electronic access ballot. I'm curious to know how many such voters we have. You're talking to one right here, and there are others that I know of, but I'm curious. That'll tell us a little bit about whether that part of the opportunity is being used. And of course, this is a presentation that just became law about a year ago, but giving people the opportunity to register to receive an electronic ballot. I have a feeling not too many people know about it. And not only that, but you can update your registration, assuming you may already have registered to vote, and then you learn about the fact that you can receive an electronic ballot rather than just any email, or rather than just a ballot on paper in the mail. You can update your registration so that you can receive an electronic ballot. I would be curious to know, the Office of Elections might be able to tell us at this meeting or at our next meeting what our numbers are there on people who are receiving, who are registered to receive electronic ballots. And Pat, to your point about email, we also have the email addresses of all of those people. By definition, when you register to receive an electronic ballot, you provide your email address. So some of our outreach, future outreach, could outreach to that collection of email addresses.
That's a great idea, Jim.
Katie Kahn.
Hi, Katie, go ahead.
Along those lines, my brain's ticking along, and not uncommonly in the community of individuals with disability, it's friends and family that bring the attention to the individuals of items such as our survey or the Special Needs Advisory Board, or the fact that it's even an option. And I'm wondering if, as a state entity, we can use the community forum on the newspapers that's free to announce, or something like our survey, or that this committee indeed exists and these are opportunities for individuals with disabilities, or PSAs or radio station interviews. Can people from this committee go to, say, the Dave Lawrence show on the HPR radio? I don't know, that may be a deputy AG question, but I'm thinking of all the ways that we might reach the public in general that might then get to the individuals with disabilities that may not know about it, as well as the ideas that Jim has had and you, Pat. But that's where my brain was going with it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's really important that, you know, I've relied primarily on personal contacts with people in key positions to get the word out. And I think they did, because every time I sent them a additional request, I got a few more votes. But the number of votes is always, you know, a modest number. And I'm assuming the same happened when you all reached out to people. So I think in addition to what Jim has said and what you said, Katie, I think if we could find some voting connected source, like, you know, what's the thing, the ladies, there's an association of women that promote
The
voting.
League of Women Voters.
You know, if we could get them to co-sponsor with us a little event where we could just basically talk about the committee and to and maybe lay out some possibilities for outreach and asking input about additional suggestions for outreach, and maybe get the audience to help us say, well, what are the most important things to share with people to encourage them to become participants in this process, and make it sort of like a, you know, open forum kind of thing, and do it at the right time. That would be helpful as well.
Gashel here. Yeah, so I think you're on it. I think I got the idea when you were talking there, Pat, about, you know, a speakers bureau. So there are lots of groups. I'm sure the Office of Elections has a list of community groups that they interact with. I don't mean disability groups. I'm talking about general community groups. We need to take our outreach outside of the specter of just disability, because people with disabilities exist in the larger community, and we're missing a lot of them by sticking within the mailing lists that we all have. So we have time, but in the run up to the 2024 election, we should constitute ourselves as a, I don't know, a speakers bureau or whatever, get out to women, League of Women Voters, different other groups that the Office of Elections could put us on to, I think.
That'd be great. I think we need to do it, and I'm all for it, and willing to commit the time to it. So, does anybody in our audience have any suggestions or comments at this point?
Let's see. Just wanted to let you know that Donald had his hands raised.
Okay, Donald? Donald, I think you might still be on mute.
Hello, Chair. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and the rest of the committees. Donald Succum, for the record, I am the chair for the Oahu Mayor's Advisory Committee on Oahu. I have some comments about this situation. Communication is the key. I try to get the word out on my side, but I think, like Jim was saying, Gasho and others, and yourself too, we need to get out, like Civil Beat, other organizations out there. The legislature on the neighbor islands, they have town hall meetings. They can get that word out. There is county representatives in the county here in Hawaii. Oahu, we have 9 districts, so I'm very close to council members. But I'm also on the neighborhood board, number 30, Kaneohe. So by reaching out to our neighbor board here on Oahu, we can get the word out also. Concerning the county elections committees for special needs has the state elections office outreach to Kauai, Maui, and Big Island? Because I get emails from Anthony regarding these meetings, but I'm curious to see if the outer islands have been getting updates, because Big Island was still looking for persons to be on their committee for the county. Maui, I think, had 3, but they have a new mayor now and whole different administration. Kauai should have enough people on their committee, but I would recommend that we work with the counties to get the word out, and other parties, so we can get the survey out, especially when our next election is coming up. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you
Um,
very much, Donald.
Chair, this is
Yes.
Anthony.
Uh-huh.
So just wanted to, just to answer Donald's question, we did send out the information to Kauai. And yeah, as you related, the Maui is still organizing. So, but we sent it out to you, we also have sent the information out to Kauai. I also just wanted, just as an informational, the in terms of the voter registration and registering as an individual with a print disability, that information goes to the different counties, so they have that information. But we can definitely reach out and see if we can get any information on. But as far as numbers at this time, we don't have that. But
Gashel.
Yes, Jim.
So I would like for an item for our next agenda, next meeting, to be a report from the Office of Elections aggregating the numbers, because they can pull it back from the county. I mean, the people register with the state. The two work together. I don't think this committee is empowered to go to each county. I mean, I guess we could, I don't know. But anyway, they can do it. I just think we ought to get these numbers back from the counties, and that'll tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
James, we'll definitely reach out to the counties.
And do you think
and see
also,
what we can.
can you get email addresses too? Because then we
In terms of email addresses, that I am not sure about, because that's normally voter registration and it's normally private. So I'm not totally sure on that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you, well, before the next meeting, can you check on that too? To see whether, I mean, all I want to do is reach out to these people. And, you know, our survey, our access to the survey and results is up at the end of this month. But, so, you know, if it is okay to get these email addresses, it would be great to know about that before the end of the month. So maybe I could send the survey information to each one of these people, or you could send it to each one of these people. Maybe that's why we handle it. We don't do it. You do it. An Office of Elections. You know, you're a state agency, so you should be able to do it, right? If it's okay for you, get emails to send them information. Here's a survey. If you'd like to respond to it, we'd greatly appreciate it. You know, thank you very much. That kind of,
We will check on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
In terms of whether or not we have access to that.
Yeah. Get 100 was my goal. And
Gashel.
but yes,
So I was gonna say, you know, if Anthony finds out, yeah, the counties won't give the email addresses back to the state, which might be a possibility. The next point would be, well, will the counties do an email distribution for us, Pat?
Right. Right.
And I think Glenn Takahashi here, you know, and again, Donald being the chair of the Oahu committee, I'm sure working with Glenn could promote that and probably make that happen here. We just need to try to do the same other places.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. But again, you know, we don't have, like I said, I paid $98 to access SurveyMonkey to get beyond 40 responses, and so I only have it till the end of the month. And so, you know, we can't dilly-dally on this one. We got to move fast. It would be great. It would be great to get 100 responses, because every response just changes the flavor of what we learn, and that's valuable, I think. Are there any more public comments on the survey and outreach activities that we might pursue in the future?
No other hands are raised.
Okay. The next item is a report from the optional elections on the status of recommendations that we made previously.
Okay, this is Anthony. So I'm actually going to summarize because you actually have the status report, but I'll just go through it briefly.
Thank you.
Okay. The committee requested assistance from Office of Elections, disseminate the 22 voter survey. Status, Office of Elections assisted dissemination of the survey, voter experience survey, to state, department, county organizations, community organizations that work with disability, in addition to media outlets, and the community. As a reminder, the groups provided the information through their network and community resources, as well as social media. So we have listed some of the disability groups that provided reminders. In addition, there was various senior groups and veterans groups that also provided. The next one is the Office of the committee requested the Office of Elections to submit a name change for the statewide voters with special needs advisory committee. And the Office of Elections drafted bills and submitted. The bills are HB 179, I'm sorry, HB 131 and SB 179. And as a note, HB 131 was heard today, and SB 179 will be heard tomorrow. And in addition, the committee requested the Office of Elections to have formal minutes. So we are assisting with creating the minutes, and the minute the approved minutes will be posted as approved.
Thank, okay. Thank you very much. The next item is the actual legislation you referred to. And I think SB 171 was considered this morning, and the HB 131 will be considered tomorrow, but I haven't checked to see whether they voted in
Oh,
favor.
yeah. Gashel.
Did?
Yeah, okay, so HB 131 was heard this morning in the Health and Homelessness Committee, and we had the testimony just before this hearing, just before this meeting, but the decision making is at 11:30, and I'm assuming it's going to pass okay.
What about, Jim, what
yeah.
about you today? The thing that SB 179, did they vote it out?
No, they had too many testifiers on marijuana, and
Oh.
so they had to put it over to Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Okay,
And
thank you.
there's no need to resubmit. In fact, I tried just to be sure that they would get the same testimony over, and I put in the bill, and it shows no testimony is being taken at this time. So you don't have to resubmit anything. They have it all from what we did earlier in the week.
I want to thank the Office of Elections and you, Anthony, for moving the legislation as quickly as you did. It would have been nice to have a little more warning that you had done it, because you know, finding out on Friday night and then trying to mobilize everybody over the weekend, submit testimony was a little bit of a challenge, if you know what I mean. I know how. I have a general sense of how the Hawaiian legislature works. I know everything's fast, but the day that you, in the future, if we submit additional legislation, maybe when you do give draft legislation to the committees, you tell us so that, you know, we know it's coming. Because my weekend was a little bit hairy. But thank you very much for doing it. Okay, the next, are there any comments on that? Oh, just so you all know, the name change that we submitted to the legislature was Election Accessibility Needs Advisory Committee. So that makes it clear what the purpose of the committee is. And also we took out a reference to physical disabilities so that people didn't think that the legislation only applied to physical disabilities. And those were the two things that we did. And then because you have to do this, it's a technical thing, we added a suggestion that they also amend any other references to voters with special needs to change it to voters with election accessibility needs, so that people know what we're talking about. Are there any comments on that before we go to the next topic? Okay, the next item is discussion and possible action related to electronic voting. And I have nothing to say personally, so Jim or Katie, if you have things you want to throw in or up, go ahead.
Okay, well, let's see, I think we need to review, and I'm not sure, we had this on the agenda, but I think we're going to have to rely on the folks from the Office of Elections to talk to us. And I'm not sure anybody's here from there. Anthony can fill us in, but on ways that we can make the electronic process a bit more user-friendly. It works, it probably complies with the law, okay, but it is a bit complex to use and should be made easier in the future. I don't know if anybody with it, this is on the agenda. I don't know if anybody with the technical knowledge is here to talk to us about that.
Katie?
My
Oh,
Go
go ahead, Pat.
my recollection was we were gonna find somebody from the vendor's office to come and have a conversation with us, so we could tell them what the challenges are and see if they could explore how to fix it. So maybe what we need to do is
That
get that on the next agenda. Somebody from the vendor to come to the committee meeting to talk about that.
Katie?
that's basically my recollection too.
I was going to say that was my recollection, but I think it needs to be in tandem with whoever the Office of Elections IT on the state county side is, not just the vendor. Anthony, you may have more information on that because they work in combination. But I knew we had
Yeah.
talked about the
So
vendor.
we definitely can take your concerns, and we'll continue to take your concerns. We are working to reach out and connect and with the new vendor. When I say new vendor, it's just a vendor that changed from one. It's the same vending company. It's just a new ownership. So we're still working on that, and we will definitely bring up all your concerns. And
But
Gashel,
could you arrange to have the right people, I don't care whether we're talking state people, vendor people, come to the next meeting and just like talk to us about, as I understand it, that there's a two-step process. One part is pretty much okay, and the other part is not. It would be good to just have direct access to these people and be able to ask questions and get answers.
I can reach
Um,
out to, yeah.
Okay.
Gashel here. I was going to say, Anthony, if you're referring to a vendor, is that what's their name? 5-seaters in Oregon?
Yeah, the
But-
only thing is that group, they changed their name, so it's a
Okay.
different ownership.
Oh, okay. Now they provide the HTML ballot. That's the part where you get the ballot electronically. And I think that part works fine. I think it would be good to meet with them, as our chair is suggesting. So if you could get them to a future meeting that we would schedule, that would be good. But the other part, to my knowledge, is done by the Office of Elections, not the counties, but your office. And that is the ballot return portion. And I don't remember who the people are, but I met with one or two of them one time, probably around a year ago. And this was being done not by an outside vendor now, but by the Office of Elections that created their own authentication system pursuant to the law that was passed in 2021 that requires electronic authentication without being required to sign and scan a document. And that one OE created themselves. And in terms of the streamlining, that's the one we're really talking about, that process needs to be streamlined. So I'm suggesting we hold a meeting at a date fairly soon to, and maybe just for this particular discussion. Now, do you know anything about people we should have at that meeting that I haven't mentioned?
I
think-
will, we can check on that. I will have to check on that in terms of who or what. Yeah.
I may be in way over my head, but it seems to me, when you ever go to a secure website for anything and you don't remember your password or something, they always send you a code, a number, and you enter that number, then they know it's you and you can do whatever you want after that or change your password. Why can't we just have like something like that for people as a way of saying, yes, I'm who I am, because they enter the code number you just send them. And then it wouldn't be they could just enter the code and then they'd be recognized and that would be the end of it.
Well, I think that's a point that we need to make, but Anthony's not the person that
No, I know, but
can do
I
it.
mean,
And
it's like-
so I guess what we're saying, Madam Chair, is we've got to get the right people from the Office of Election to a meeting, and maybe it should be exclusively devoted to this discussion.
Well, I think the next meeting that's what we're going to do, because the sooner we do this, and it can't be that complicated. I mean, everybody does codes as a way of saying, yes, you are who you say you are. And I mean, so, all right. Any public comment on this? Top-
Madam Chair.
Donald Sakamoto has his hand raised. Chair.
Okay, Donald?
Madam Chair, good topic. I think it's very important we have somebody that knows about the knowledge about this. I talked to Glenn Takahashi, head clerk at Honolulu County. He said he was going to do the electronic ballot. He wanted to see how the process is on his end, but he can see, but he just wanted to get a general idea of how it went by. I think the county should be involved. So Anthony, whenever you have this meeting ahead of time, if you can send it to the counties, to all the 4 counties, so we can have them on board, would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything we want. I mean, I want the counties to be involved in everything we do. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, the next topic on our agenda, thank you very much, Donald, is a
Welcome.
discussion of charter amendments. I think there's uniform agreement that the way charter amendments are written, they might as well be in Persian, because nobody can understand them. And they tend to cause people to vote the opposite way they intended. So I guess what I would like, not because the next meeting is going to be devoted to streamlining electronic accessibility things. The meeting after that, part of the agenda I would love to have devoted to a description of what is the process for charter amendments? How do they happen? How can we as a committee influence them? We'd be doing a favor not only to people with disabilities, we'd be doing a favor to the general public. I think I'm a good wordsmith. I know James is a good wordsmith, and Katie probably is too. So, we are free resources that can help people write amendments that are understandable. So, could we have somebody at the not the next meeting, but the meeting after that, to explain how charter amendments come about, and then maybe talk about how we could be involved in wordsmithing?
Well, in terms of charter amendments, each of the counties, they actually handle their own charter amendments. The only thing that we actually do is post the language to the ballot.
Okay, so what we need is somebody from each of the counties to come to our, not the next meeting, but the meeting after that, to talk to us about how charter amendments in their county come about, and then offer assistance in drafting or revising language to make it easier to understand.
Yeah, Gashel here. I'm really 100% behind this idea. I think,
Oh, I know.
I think I think it's great.
I yeah, and I mean, it's something that needs to be done, and it doesn't have to just be us, but it could be somebody from other, the Ladies Voters Association or whatever, could be part of our too.
Right, but we certainly have a role, I think, and
Right.
and maybe to get ourselves positioned so that at least before the amendments are cast in stone and posted by the Office of Elections, that they at least come before this committee so we can give input into how they should be worded.
Absolutely, but I think first we ought to have a conversation with these characters about, here we are, we're a resource, and explain to us how these come about, so we at least have an understanding of who drafts them, when they draft them, how they're vetted, how they're finalized, all that stuff. I mean, I want to know that.
Yeah,
Because
100%, absolutely.
yeah. Now, there's three things that I want to mention under, first, is there any public comment on the charter amendment issue?
Donald Sakamoto has his hand raised.
Okay, Donald? I think you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair, for the subject. From my previous participation with the charter bills, I used to attend the Charter Commission for the Honolulu charters. And we had former Governor Waihee, John Waihee was on the commission, as well as some other people. And they took public testimony on the charter, what was said, and they took public testimony. So that's the process how it goes. But I think, yes, we should work with the counties and see what the charter bill is all about, process. And maybe
Yeah.
one of you could be on the board of charter bill committee. Somebody be on the committee.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I have been reading these charter amendments since I came here in 2016, and I have read them 5 times before I marked my ballot because I didn't know what they meant.
Yeah.
And I have a frickin' PhD. So
Yeah, I have an associate degree, but yeah, I still get a hard time with that because a no vote might be yes, and yes vote maybe no.
but I think I really think that they would be doing a public service to offer to help them write clear charter amendments. Now, moving on to the last item, and the things I want to throw out are, off the wall ideas. And obviously they may have legal implications and God knows what else. But as part of our marking ourselves going forward in this year and later years, and visibility, getting more visibility, I think there are a couple of things that I'd love to talk about at some point, but it can be 3 meetings from now. One is young people with disabilities who are 18, wherever they are, in school, at home, sitting on a couch, whatever. I think it'd be great to get connected to them and make them interested in the voting process. And it could be presentations in schools, it could be whatever, but I think we really need to commit ourselves to doing this and working with principals and the superintendent that we have now for the state to just reach out to these kids and get to know them better and get them to vote, to register to vote. The second is I'm assuming there must be a fair number of people with disabilities who live out there who are living alone. And so they don't have, they may not have a buddy system. Well, I think we should have voter buddies that can help people with things connected to voting. Now, I know there's implications attached to that, and there might be laws, God knows what else, but at least have a conversation about creating a voter buddy corps. That I think would be exciting and positive, and it could be as limited as somebody who at least explain to somebody one-on-one what they have to do at various points in time connected to voting. Not that they actually do it for them, but that they explain to them, here's what a ballot looks like, here's some information on the candidates, here's here's where you have to sign your name, whatever. I'm thinking mostly about people with intellectual disabilities, but I think that would be a very good thing to connect with the SAC, which is the acronym for the Hawaii Self Advocates Organization, to let them know that there are people out there that would be willing to help people become more knowledgeable about the voting process. So those are two things. I said I had three, but I can't remember what. I think the third one had to do with marketing the existence of the committee in some way, and we've talked about that connected to outreach. So I think that's it for me.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Gashel here. I don't know who is the group in Hawaii that is hooked up to Kurt Decker's group, because they have a they have a voting
Yeah, you know what, that was my
yeah,
that was the third point. We need somebody from Hawaii Disability Rights Center to come and talk to us about their part of the HAVA project, Help America Vote Act.
that's what it is.
Yeah. And to come to partner with them in doing some outreach stuff. That was the third.
So I definitely think that ought to be
absolutely
on the agenda. Now, you notice I have reserved the issue of the electronic voting for the next meeting. So maybe meeting after
right.
disability rights. I guess they're the P&A group, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So
and I'm good friends with the director, and he has he has been they submit testimony in support of the technical amendments, and so he's receptive. What they're doing, I have no idea, but they have a rather broad. These organizations in every state have a very broad charter to deal with this voting stuff, and so we need to coordinate with them. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, Lure to check. He's the one. And
no, my third. Thank God you jangled my.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think. Is there anybody?
Madam Chair, Donald Sakamoto has his raised hand.
Okay, Donald, you're on. I think you got to be on mute again, Donald.
Hello, Chair. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I good name, good man, Lou Erdachek. I deal with him a lot with civil rights and all these other things. But I was recently at my ophthalmologist doctor for my eye examination, and I told him what I do for the voters, for those who are voting with electronic ballots and such on the chair of the HANWA committee. And he said, oh, that'd be great if he can get the word out to his patients who are going blind. And if I had a brochure to provide him, and then maybe he can provide it to his colleagues in the field spread the word out that way. So
Oh, that-
they know.
That's a great idea, Donald. I think that what we have to, some of the stuff we could work on in between meetings. You know, I could maybe take a stab at the content of a brochure and then share it with Anthony. Anthony, do you have a budget to print stuff or to get graphic design done or anything? Anthony? Ah, I think we lost Anthony. Wow.
Hello,
But
I'm here.
Katie-
Sorry about that.
okay,
I was trying
Do-
to unmute myself.
do we have a, you know,
I need to check on that, but on the other hand, if you have concepts or things like that, we definitely will take that into consideration.
but the thing is, because of what Donald described, we need to be giving like hard copy pamphlets to ophthalmologists offices. So you have,
I'm-
Kapuna groups, all kinds of groups like that.
yeah. So you need a budget for that kind of thing. Maybe when you guys put in your budget for next year, I wish you would put in a budget for our committee. So I don't have to do a, W-9 to get reimbursed for $98. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It complicates my income tax and all that. If you could have a budget dedicated to us, and I'm not talking about $1 zillion, like even $10,000 would be amazing. That so we could print stuff and we could convene meetings and give people food instead of doing.
I'm gonna move that we request the Office of Elections to include in its next budget submission $10,000 for the Election Accessibility Advisory Committee.
Second time.
Okay, Katie seconded, and all in favor, say aye.
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 Pat, this is Katie. I wanted to just reiterate a point I had made earlier, and Donald's comment validates, and Anthony, this is something I don't know the legal aspects of for the state, but we would need to double check with our deputy AG. The newspapers throughout the state have free commentaries for community activities and PSAs, as well as the radios and the televisions often are free. And it would get to the greater public, not just the individuals with accessibility needs. And I think the ophthalmologist story is a great example of where we really need to get this information out to the general public, not just the individuals, because someone like an ophthalmologist, he might get that in his private time, but in his vocational time, he can let his patients know, but the patients might not get it otherwise. And it really spreads the word of the work we're doing and the importance of the accessibility of elections and voting. But I really think that's something, as well as all the other comments, that needs to be done. And those are free channels. Those are not paid, even though I second and absolutely support the budget for the this committee. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah. I think I really,
yeah.
I-
Oh, sorry.
I really think it's important that we recognize and pursue the general public in our future activities. It's always been in the back of my mind, but I think Katie and Jim have done a good job of bringing it up several times during this meeting. Because we're all in this together. And, we share information with each other all the time. And God knows voting is important.
So can we take offline just the idea of getting a brochure type thing drafted that could be hard copy, could be electronic, et cetera, et cetera. We can adopt it at a future meeting, but it seems to me we ought to be able to, Madam Chair, work on a text.
Oh, no.
And,
I
yeah,
I will do that. Right
Okay.
now, I'm up
okay,
with a couple other things this
Yeah.
week. I figure I can get something to everybody by, say, a week from Friday.
oh, wow, great,
Text, and then you guys edit it, and
yeah.
then we can finalize it, and then somebody can graphics.
Then,
But
then,
I think that's a
right,
great idea.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Don't know if it needs a motion, move, we do it.
Okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna
Alright.
do it.
All
I
right,
think the motion comes when we put it on the agenda. I'm
Okay,
not
okay,
confident
good.
about that, but I would
Alright,
support it
all right,
regardless.
fine, yeah,
And I
Um,
also think that we ought to, depending on, assuming Anthony can find some money for printing it, that we ought to put it in grocery stores too.
exactly, everywhere.
Yeah, right. Is there any new?
How about hiring a helicopter and dropping
Um,
some brochures? Not
Only,
kidding.
only other thing is idea for when we try to hold the next meeting, which is going to be on electronic access.
Right, okay, right, we need a meeting date, okay. Let me get a calendar in front of me so I can at least look at that while we do it. Okay, March is the next month. I know we tend to meet once every 2 months, but I think that's ridiculous. We should meet more often if we want to get more stuff done. So why don't we aim for, we have to confirm with the other two committee members, but why don't we aim for Tuesday, March 21st at 10 o'clock. And then Anthony can check that with everybody else. Is that all right with you, Jim and Katie? I can't hear you, Jim.
At this time, it works for me, Pat.
Oh, it's good with me. Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
March-
good.
March-
It's good. It's good with me.
Okay.
The only thing I was gonna say is this involves Anthony bringing other people to the meeting. So he's gonna need to make sure that it is at a time when he can get knowledgeable people there.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get fixed on the 21st. And then any time of that day, at this point, we'll accept, we'll try to rearrange our schedules. And that way it'll keep, he's got about a month to do it, a month, I can't. So hope, and Tuesdays are a good day, people usually keep Tuesdays to themselves, so.
Good to go.
Okay, and now I call for a motion to adjourn, I think.
Time moves to adjourn.
Okay,
Second,
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
All
Aloha.
right, bye.